So this weekend, instead of going racing, we're staying home to work on the shop. The first thing I needed to do Friday morning was unload these bundles of insulation and the wire mesh off the back of the dually. We've got 3,300 square feet of insulation we have to put down underneath the concrete in this wire mesh. I picked up my first load of insulation yesterday afternoon, but this morning I need to head back down to Glass Rock and pick up the rest of it. The 3,300 feet of floor space we have to cover is going to require about 103 sheets of this 2-inch styrofoam insulation. After making a few calls to price this stuff, it turns out the best price I could find was from Gravers, the same people that designed our barn and sold us the materials for it to begin with. I made it down there just after lunch and they were very busy getting everybody loaded up with materials for weekend projects. Once they got me loaded up, I tied everything down and headed home. And that was about the same time Miss Vicky ended up down at the pumpkin patch not far from our house. She's down there loading up everything she thinks she needs to get ready to decorate for fall. I saw her on my way past the pumpkin patch on my way home. We go through this scenario every year. She goes down there and buys a whole pickup truck full of pumpkins and gourds and corn stalks, hauls them home and disperses the stuff all over the yard, only to let it rot into the ground. But as long as it makes her happy, that's all that matters.
Look at all those goodies.
Yeah. It's decorate today.
Her wagon was so chock full of stuff it was falling out on the way to the truck. Luckily, Allison noticed the scarecrow that fell out and went back and picked it up. By the time Vicky got back home, she'd worked herself into a fall decorating frenzy. I went in the shop and tried to remain invisible so not to get caught up in it. I did manage to do a little bit of work on the 55 while Billy and Robbie got the Nova cleaned up from its trip to war in the woods. Then later that evening, I called my dad to come down and check out all the work we've gotten done on the 55. The air conditioning blows ice cold, and evidently we did a pretty good job because his main interest was taking pictures to send to all his Facebook friends. Dad stayed for a little while and he headed back to the farm. And Vicky, well, she's still out there decorating and forcing me to film almost all of it. In fact, there were so many clips I had to delete half of them just to render this video.
Hey, put that Johnny on cinematic and let me have it.
What?
Give it to me.
Give what? My phone?
Yeah, I gotta show my hard work.
I've been showing it in this video the whole time.
I got one last thing.
Oh.
Come on.
Then it was time to start cutting a swale along the front of the building to run the surface water down around the corner of the barn and back towards the creek. Once I had the rough grading done, I pushed topsoil right up against the concrete and back drug it with the dozer blade on the excavator. I figure once we get the concrete done inside the building, I'll finish all the grade work around the barn and try and get grass seed sown to minimize erosion this winter. If time and money allows, I'll go ahead and get some seamless gutters put on the building and run some downspout tile yet this fall. So I'm not really worried about any of this being perfect at this point. The main thing for right now is that the water that comes off the roof is able to drain down around the front of the shop and back towards the creek instead of infiltrating the gravel under the concrete that will inevitably freeze and heave the concrete and cause it to crack. By this time, Billy had made it over and helped me swap buckets on the excavator so we can dig down and stub in a new electric and water service into the building. It's important that we get this stuff taken care of now so we can get it stubbed up inside before we pour concrete. Typically here in Ohio, water lines need to be buried below the frost line, which is approximately 36 inches. Once we had all that done, the last thing we needed to do was get all the vehicles moved out of the way, both in and out of the shop, and then back the truck and trailer with all the materials out beside the new barn. Once we got all the cars moved around, Vicky came out to inspect my handiwork and make sure that I did the grade work right. She also reminded me that in a few days we've got to pick a winner for whoever gets to drive my old Malibu. I've been pretty busy the last few weeks and haven't given the car much attention, so I figured now was as good a time as any to bring the car in, put it up on the lift, clean up the rocker panels, detail the wheels and tires, get all the bug guts cleaned up off the front bumper and the chrome grille, wipe down all the suspension components underneath, and detail everything under the hood. If you haven't already purchased one of the Don't Hate the Player, Hate the Game shirts off the website, here's your reminder. You've got until October 8th. And if you do win, remember, do not try to pet June Pup. Well, we're home. We're not racing, and I'm usually out racing till the wee hours of the morning. At least that's what my body's used to. I just got done eating dinner with Vicky, and she's in there making cookies, doing Vicky things. And I thought, you know what, I'd like to go cruise around the 55 a little bit tonight. So I made a little Facebook post. And I don't know if anybody will show up or not, but I'm going to go down and hang out on the square for a little bit tonight. Take a 55 down and cruise around a little bit. Now, a few weeks ago, on the weekend of my birthday, Vicky and I drove the Malibu downtown Newark and attended the Light the Night car show on the square. Now, I remember back in the day, the cars used to hang out down there on the square until about midnight. Since it's Saturday night and the weather's beautiful, I figured now would be a perfect opportunity to take the 55 down and hang out on the square like the old days. That is, if anybody shows up. I told everybody on Facebook I'd be down there about 10 o'clock, and at 9:30, there was already people showing up. One guy brought down this beautiful triple black 66 Bonneville convertible. Another guy brought down this really nice looking copper colored Plymouth Roadrunner. About that time, Billy showed up, and some of his younger following showed up as well.
That looks like some people that will be wearing my t-shirt coming out of a...
What, a Fox body?
Coming out of a primer Fox body with slicks.
We were all having a pretty good time, hanging out and checking out each other's cars.
Hey, don't look under there.
And cruising around the square. Even some diesel pickup trucks showed up. I'm not sure what you call these guys. Diesel racers, I guess. I was trying to film everything, but my phone started to go dead, and I handed it off to this kid with a Honda. I let this kid charge my phone for me, and I get it back, and there's pics on it. What the hell's the matter with you kids? We were all having a good time until...
Say this is what you don't do. People are trying.
This is what happens when you don't get beat up in elementary school. Eventually, I think we all got tired of listening to that guy's deck lid vibrate across the street. Everybody packed up and decided to go cruise around for a little while. I'd rather drive around and listen to the header mufflers on the 55 rather than hear that guy's deck lid vibrate or the diesel trucks that sound like a pregnant moose giving birth as they're trying to do burnouts around the square. Alright guys, so it's Sunday morning. I'm headed into Jegs to go pick up this exhaust system for the 55. It's a Flowmaster kit with Super 40 mufflers, and the tailpipes come straight out the back. Pretty happy about that because our driveway is gravel, and anything that has exhaust that points at the ground, it just blows dust everywhere. When my mom and dad bought this car in 1974, it had basically a stock, like a 300 horse 327 in it with stock exhaust manifolds, and it had like 2-inch exhaust straight out the back, similar to what this kit will have. This kit's 2.5-inch exhaust with 3-inch tailpipes that come out underneath the bumper. So when I told Dad about that, he was pretty happy about that. Mom and Dad, the whole time they had that car after Dad put headers on it, they never had money to have exhaust run on it. So when Dad, I think in 1975, 76, somewhere in there, Dad put a big crane hydraulic flat tappet camshaft in it, the tri-power, it had a tri-power intake on it, and he put a set of headers on it, and he put header mufflers on it. And the whole time I can remember this car, from the time I was old enough to remember anything about this car, it's always just had header mufflers on it. it's always sounded just about the way it does right now. But we very rarely ever drove it very far. One time we did drive it very far. Mom and Dad took me to Memphis and went to the 55, 6, and 7 Chevy Club national meet. And it was in Memphis, Tennessee. Hotter than hell. But that was the longest ride. I can't imagine driving that thing all the way to Memphis, Tennessee with just header mufflers. Anyway, we're going to put full exhaust on it today and hopefully quiet it down, because Dad's a little nervous driving it around. I don't know. I think he's been mentioning he wanted a stock 55 Chevy, which is what I would have rather built him, as a stock engine, but my mom threw a fit. Didn't want a stock camshaft, didn't want a stock engine, didn't want an automatic in it. It had to be exactly the way it's always been. It's always had a pretty lumpy camshaft in it and a 4-speed. So that's what it is. But Dad's not really keen on driving it a whole lot because it's so loud and obnoxious. So we're going to try and quiet this thing down. So I ran into Jegs in the 64 C10 and picked up this exhaust system and a handful of other things that we need up at the machine shop for Uncle Bob. While me and Craig were loading those parts in the back of the 64, Rob and Billy have already got the 55 Chevy pulled in the shop, and they're starting to pull the header mufflers down off the car and get everything ready for the new exhaust system that I'm bringing home. This kit is intended to run from the headers all the way to the rear bumper. The only question is, how difficult is it going to be to match the exhaust system to the existing headers?
Got the goods.
I got the goods.
Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
Complete Flowmaster 2.5 inch American Thunder exhaust system.
Hey, your sticker's still attached, right?
My main concern is getting this exhaust system put on. Billy's main concern is aggravating me.
Back. What did you do?
What makes a difference whether it's a snapback?
The bend in it looks awfully handmade.
Hey, and then this is a 2.5 inch system, and I got 2.5 inch collectors because they're that ball socket Edmund deal. I think I got everything. I hope it came with hangers. I would imagine it would.
Whatever it is, we'll weld her right up. Oh, Jesus.
It's a little heavier. It's a little
Heavier than I thought.
We started with the tailpipes and getting them routed over the axle and hanging the mufflers. But as usual, connecting the H-pipe to the headers required some fabrication. The last thing we had to do was install the chrome tailpipe tips. Then it was finally time for the moment of truth. It was time to set the car back down on the ground and fire it up. We were all eager to see what the car sounded like and to see how loud it was going to be.
Sounds just like my Mustang. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so quiet. So much better.
Gotta call Grandpa.
This is the first time since 1974 this 55 Chevy has had exhaust all the way to the bumper. Dad came down to check it out, and I convinced him to take it up the road and see how he liked it. For the first time in my life, I can actually have a conversation with my dad while driving up the road in the 55. Dad was really happy with the way it sounded. I made a phone call while we were out on our test drive to have some people stop down and visit with us who will be instrumental in helping us with the next phase of the 55 project. A lot better, Dad.
Yeah, a lot better.
Now the only thing left we got to do is paint.
Yep.
And that's why these guys are here. If you're a regular here on this channel, you probably already recognize Paul and his fiancée, Nikki. Together with their longtime friend, Jesse, own and operate the House of Pearls Restoration Shop in Utica. I wanted Dad to have the opportunity to meet these folks so that everybody understands just how important and sentimental this 55 is to our entire family. We went over the entire car top to bottom, front to back, inside and out. Collectively, we all came to the same conclusion on what needs to be done. All right, so I think the decision has been made. We're going to take the entire car up to House of Pearls, and we're going to pull the body off the frame up there and do a full restoration on the body and fix everything. Everything that needs replaced, everything that needs fixed. We're going to do all of it. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right.
We have a deal.
Game on, I guess.
Yep. We're up for it.
Thank you guys very much.
No
Thank you.
problem.
It's gonna be fun. We've done a couple of these. But
So if we get on it here pretty soon, you guys can work on it this winter.
Oh yeah, it'll be ready by next season. Yeah.
We're extending its life.
Yes, by a lot.
that actually
When my kids
extending it.
can see it.
Exactly.
they could act-
They'll
they
be taking it to
actually-
prom.
I was telling your dad, I was saying like it's still structurally solid underneath, even with those braces that are rusted out.
Yeah.
The floor has a couple like riveted patches and stuff, but it's not going to fall apart as it is. But doing this, it's actually prolonging it for your kids, just like you said. Yeah. As long as you take care of it, it's as long as it will last.
Well, for the foreseeable future, I don't ever see that car sitting in a non-heated, non-air conditioned building. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the really weird thing about this, I guess, I was just telling them, is there's going to be historical documentation of what we're doing for the next generation of kids and grandkids to see. And they'll be able to see, hey, what the heck was great grandpa thinking? Or what was my dad thinking? Or what was dad's dad thinking? Like, how did they do this? Or who did it? Or what were they going through at the time? And it'll all be,
We'll show you.
Maybe they'll be painting cars with robots by then.
I hope not.
I hope not too.
So you may have noticed in this video I'm looking a little long in the tooth. Vicky's been leaving me hints that I need to shave, but I haven't done it yet.
Why?
It's been really hectic around here the last few weeks, but this morning I finally took time to shave.
Hey, that's better. Thank you.
Today we've got a crew of guys up here. They're going to be working in the shop, prepping before concrete for the heated floors. They've got quite a bit of work to do over the next 2 or 3 days, running all the insulation and PEX lines and mounting the new boiler. After I got done running a few errands for those guys, I've got a few errands to run myself, and today I'm taking the 55 with me. All right, so we're going to run up to Uncle Bob's, drop a bunch of parts off. I've got a whole trunk full of parts for these engines we're building up here at the shop. Gaskets and head gaskets, oil pan gaskets, you name it. It's hard to keep track of everything that's going on right now. The guys are busy back there getting the floor ready to pour concrete. We'll see how it goes. Since we plan on taking the 55 up to House of Pearls next month, I want to put as many miles on the car now to weed out any problems with it before we take the body off the frame and start the restoration process. So today's trip up to Bob's machine shop is a really good opportunity to stretch the 55's legs. Bob's been busy this morning working on Billy's 408 Windsor project and porting his intake manifold. He's also been working on Tommy's 415, getting a push rod length for me, and he's also working on that 383 small block for the giveaway S10. Bob was working on a valve job on those heads while I was on my way up to see him in the 55. It turns out that a couple of the valves have stretched and tuliped, which would have increased preload on the lifter and possibly caused the catastrophic valve train failures that we found when we tore the engine down. Bob's also been working on the 427 small block giveaway engine and almost has it ready to go on the dyno. If all that isn't enough, he's also working on putting the heads down on Tommy's 415 small block nitrous engine for his S10 today. Well, look who it is. Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob.
In here working on Tommy's 415. How's everything going?
It's going good. Just more parts, more parts.
I see the 427 is just about ready to go on the dyno.
Yes, sir. It's very close. Last day.
You think when do you think you'll put that on the dyno? This week or next week?
No, this week. This week.
Really?
We're done. Yeah.
We need to start working on a t-shirt design then.
Yeah. That's your specialty. So I got a project for you. My wife's family has a Trans Am that has an idling problem, and it's a beautiful car. And I thought it'd be just your specialty.
Oh yeah? Where is it?
It's down at the house. I unloaded and put it in my personal garage for the weekend. He dropped it off, and we'll go down and take a look at it, and you can start your process.
Oh boy. Well, let's go look at it.
Alrighty.
Air condition, Uncle Bob.
There we go.
When it comes to tuning carburetors, getting them to run good wide open is relatively simple. Drivability is where you run into problems. And this Trans Am has got a massive drivability problem. The problem is, it's not drivable. It won't hardly even stay running. I was shocked when Bob opened the hood and revealed a 400 small block Chevy in there instead of a Pontiac. So, what's the situation here? It doesn't want to idle? Or?
Yeah, it doesn't idle well. He thought we'd tear into it and see what we found.
I wonder what carburetor's on it.
I have to be honest with you, I've never had this off to be able to tell him or see. I got to get a screwdriver to get it off. And I think we should take it off so we can see how it starts initially.
Well, it's a Holly carburetor. You're all the time getting me into unique situations, Uncle Bob. I guess we could say the same for you, huh?
Yeah.
As Bob was removing the shaker hood scoop, I remembered him telling me that the engine has a pretty good sized camshaft in it. And before we even touch this thing, I can see there's a couple of things that don't add up. So before we dive into this thing, my first thoughts. This has an HEI distributor, which most likely is not locked out. So therefore, if it has a lumpy cam in it, like you say it does, it probably doesn't have enough timing in it to idle right, and the problem may not even be the carburetor. But we can definitely dig into this thing and find out what's going on.
Yep.
Why don't you fire it up? Let me hear what it sounds like.
All right. This is as bad as my Corvette.
So one thing I notice is that the vacuum advance on the distributor is hooked to the wrong port on the carburetor. So the only time the vacuum advance is giving it any advance is when it's on the throttle. When it's sitting there idling, it retards the timing back to where it normally would be, where it cranks over. Let me switch this out and see if it makes a difference.
Okay.
So I get the feeling I'm not the first person to try this, because there's a T right here off the port that I need to hook the vacuum advance to that's got a plug or a cap. So we're going to pull it off that port and put it on there, and then plug that one off. Okay, try it now, Bob, and see if that makes any difference. Are you holding the throttle?
Nope.
That's just it?
That's it.
So it's better. It just didn't have enough ignition timing in it, really. It's the whole combination is just off. So the power valve definitely isn't right, and it's got a lean spot when you crack it open. It didn't have enough timing in it. The vacuum advance was hooked to the wrong port. It's just a whole bunch of little stuff. I'll bet it run terrible. Like,
He did. That's what he said.
I just can't imagine having a car this nice and having it drive
He
that
made it
poorly.
almost indrivable.
Well, I bet it was. So, let's take inventory of this situation. Maybe I'll come up later this week. I'll bring my Holly parts with me and a timing light, and we'll sort this thing out.
Okay.
This will be a piece of cake, Uncle Bob.
Hey,
You hand me all the easy stuff.
well, stick around. One of these days I'm gonna build up and get you one good.
All right, squirrel.
Look what came.
Oh, yeah.
How cool are they?
The new
Like a
shirts
little
are here.
SRC plate. I love the little details. Little dude's got an SRC shirt. This is the front, and this is the back. And so,
Those look good.
yeah. So, if you order one now through, well, it's going through October 8th, which is Sunday. So,
So you've got till midnight.
October 8th, and that'll count towards getting to spend a day with us.
Well, Billy announced tonight on their video. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's going to take somebody riding the S10 too.
How
So-
cool would that be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't even ride in that thing. Good luck to you guys with that.
I'm not signing up for a second ride in it either.
So the barn's getting really close. We're just about ready to pour concrete, and Roger stopped here today and talked to us for a few minutes, and he has set up the pump truck and the concrete for Wednesday of next week.
Super excited.
Yeah. And these guys have done a really nice job putting in the PEX lines and getting the shop ready, stubbing in plumbing and everything else that we've had them do, the new electric line, the new water line. It's been really cool. These guys are camped out in the back 40
Yeah.
back here in a camper, and they're just staying here. They've
Yeah.
been here since when? Monday?
Sunday night. They came in Sunday, got situated and set up. They worked all day Monday, and they worked all day, even till like 9-10 o'clock tonight. They were out there.
Yeah.
And I
so-
think they're gonna wrap it up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. So it's coming out really good. We're looking forward to concrete next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Yep.
So can we talk about where we're going this weekend?
Yes.
All right. Dragway 42, West Salem, Ohio, Saturday. They're racing the track backwards from the shutdown towards the tower. Let's see, the chip draw's at 6 and racing by 7 p.m. So come see us. Billy's bringing the S10 and Tommy will have the Falcon.
That it?
Yeah,
That was pretty easy.
not too bad. You don't even have to chipmunk me.
Now the only thing left we got to do is paint.